Blog Talk Radio.
Hi, alumni, all you new wavers and punks that are still survived. And they said it was going to kill us, but a lot of us are still here. This is the Girl George and the Dragons radio show. I'm Girl George, and the Dragons is anyone I can drag on stage. Today we have one of my favorite Fab Mad bands. We got the girl from Romeo Void, and her name is Debora Iyall. Is that how you pronounce it?
It is. Thank you, Girl George. You do me proud.
Okay, so what kind of name is that?
Well, Debora, I just came up with because I didn't want to be Debbie anymore. I'd gone to Europe, and in Europe you don't call anyone Debbie after they're like 13. Yeah. So everyone there called me Debora when I went there when I was 18. So I came home and I realized I could not be Debora in the United States, but a friend of mine came up with Deborah, the Hebrew enunciation, and I liked that. She was a poet. Thank you, Jane.
And the last name?
And Iyall comes from my great-grandfather, Iyall Wahua, who our family took our family name from, and he's Native American, and he also started the Shaker Church up in Washington State near Olympia. So that's half of my background. The other half is
what's
like
the rest of it?
My grandfather, my great-grandfather was Iyall Wahua, and then my great-grandmother came around the Horn from Norway, and she was a midwife. And so the other side is like Norwegian, Dutch, English, Irish.
Cool. I'm part Indian, or they used to call us Indians. Now they call us Native Americans. I'm part Blackfoot, but I've also got, Irish and French and German and God only knows what. So how did your band get together? Well,
I met Frank Sienkiewicz at the San Francisco Art Institute, where we were both being TAs. And I was a TA in the video performance lab, and he was a TA in the gallery. And we were both there over summer working, and he had a drum machine and a bass guitar, and I had all this poetry and ideas, and we just kind of got together in our spare time and made some like little videotape performance piece things, and then we were like, why don't we just start a band? And
what year was this? What year was this?
I think it was probably 79, 78, 79. Romeo Void didn't officially get going, I think, till 1980.
Oh, I started playing the Mabuhay in 77 when it first started. I was really happy when it came up out of nowhere.
Well, I was a big fan.
Oh, yeah, this is a place for
I was
me.
a total fan. I used to go to the shows all the time, and I got to see the Ramones at the Mabuhay, Patti Smith at the Mabuhay, Young Marble Giants at the Savoy Tivoli. So, friends of mine.
Did you see him, Jim Carroll?
We played together, a couple of times.
Wow.
We played at the Back Door, and we did a little poetry spoken word tour together a few years later, like in 86.
How about X? Did you run across them, or were they just L.A.?
Oh, yeah. I have a great X story. Do you have a minute?
Yeah, we have a half hour.
Okay.
Go for it.
Okay, great. Okay, so X and Romeo Void, we're going to play 3 shows together, Eugene, Corvallis, and somewhere else. I'm not even sure. And one of them was on Halloween night, and we were playing at this Grange Hall out near fields and stuff in Oregon. And it was real exciting, and both bands were really excited for it. Everyone was talking about it. All the kids from Eugene were coming, and it was actually kids that put it together. It wasn't a promoter. And so both X and our band went out and bought pumpkins for everybody who was with us, our crew and stuff, and we all carved pumpkins that afternoon, I kid you not, at the venue, and then went out and got candles and put them in it. So in the front of the stage that night, there was like 12 pumpkins with candles in them that all the band had carved, and we felt like we kind of had something to prove because we were playing with X. We better be good, you know. So we went out there and just did our finest show we possibly could, all the energy we could. We probably played an hour set and then came back and did an encore or something like that. Anyway, I just know I was wringing with sweat when the thing was over. And it was so much fun because we weren't just like selling beer at a club. You know, we were at this Grange Hall, and, you know, these kids were running it from college, and X, you know, who I adored, you know, were there. I know all the words to all their first couple of albums. And then they went on, and I felt like they were energized because we, you know, kicked butt, that they went out, and then they did a totally raucous show. It was incredible, and we had a really great night. And that was our first night playing together.
How did you play the Mabuhay the first time?
We used to play there all the time.
How did you play there the first time? How did you get the first gig there?
Because we had been, Dirk asked us, we had been playing, our first gig was at a dance performance in the Haight. Then we played Mission Rock Resort. We sort of started Mission Rock Resort as a venue. Us with, oh God, what are they called? Crop. I don't know if you ever remember Crop, but anyway, us with Crop played. And then we played like art parties. We played the party at the Mutants Loft when the Go-Go's came to town. So word was out that we should play there. So we opened for like SVT and Eye Protection. You know, we were like the opening, you know, band when we started.
Kennedy?
So we probably played it.
Jay Kennedy?
I think, I'm not sure. That wasn't really, yeah, we weren't playing with the Dead Kennedys too much. But they were certainly around.
Avengers?
I remember when, oh yeah, the Avengers for sure. And
Leela and the Snakes. Leela and the Snakes, you ever play with her?
Probably not, but I sure saw them, and I saw them.
Explosions?
I love Pearl Harbor. Absolutely.
You didn't get to play with her?
And she can just, yeah, she was fantastic. I remember she used to have
she was in Leela and the Snakes before she broke off with her own band. I think she took all of Leela's band with her. But they were on my TV show.
I don't think Peter Dunn was ever in Leela and the Snakes. I'm not sure if the Haynes
The rest
brothers.
were. The bass player and the drummer were.
Yeah, those Haynes boys are so good. So, yeah, Hillary and, what's his name? John Haynes. Yeah, John's amazing.
Brothers.
John played on Romeo Void's first record.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so, yeah, I used to go see those bands all the time. I don't remember how many times we played with who or what, but, yeah.
What about the Avengers? You got any stories about the Avengers?
No. The only thing I can say is that when I first came to the Art Institute, Penelope's locker was 2 doors down from mine, and it had the words in red paint to "We're the One." And I remember thinking, oh, this is cool. This is really cool.
So did you know her there in school, or you just knew her locker?
No, I was just going to say it. I don't think she was actually going there anymore. I think she had left like the semester before.
Oh.
So, yeah.
So where else did you play besides the Mabuhay?
Well, those were the early days. You know, we kind of moved on from there. We ended up going, putting out a record and playing the Whiskey in L.A.
Wow. You
we
were
opened,
on Clark, too.
Yeah, we opened for a Teardrop Explodes when we played the Whiskey in L.A., and it was quite fun because my friend Lydia Lunch, was there, but she called me before and said, at the hotel, because we were staying at the Tropicana, and she goes, "This is Lydia Lunch." And I hadn't met her yet. She's my friend now, but I hadn't met her yet. I said, "Yeah, right, this is Lydia Lunch." I thought it was my friend, another friend of mine, trying to take a piss out of me, and fool me. And I said, "No, this isn't Lydia." And she goes, "No, this is Lydia Lunch, and I want to get a guest slot at the show tonight." I go, "What? Is this really Lydia Lunch? Eight-Eyed Spy Lydia Lunch?" And she's like, "Yeah, this is Lydia Lunch, and I want to come to your show." So I said, "Okay." So she came to the show that night, and then after the show, we all went back to the hotel. And a Teardrop Explodes had all these fans that were like new romantic, and they were in these, pirate shirts and white makeup and, all this kind of drag. And Lydia Lunch and I went outside and went swimming in the Tropicana pool in our black T-shirts and panties. No, that was really awesome. And they were like,
so how did you get onto
you know?
the Dick Clark bandstand? Now, I've been watching that show since I was 12 years old back in the 50s. That was
You're jumping
Dick Clark.
forward,
I'd
you're
run home
jumping
from
back.
school to watch that guy.
So we probably didn't do that till 85 or 84, and by then we'd recorded, you know, Never Say Never. We'd met the Cars. We'd, you know, played with U2 about 5 or 6 times, and never. Girl in Trouble was in the top 40. That's pretty much what it takes. So Girl in Trouble, I think, was 35 and then 32 on the top 40, and so we got to play American Bandstand, and New Edition played with us. They were just like teenage boys. They were so cute and little, and Dick Clark was adorable and really interested in us and came backstage before we went on and made sure he knew how to pronounce our names and all that, and very gracious guy, and interviewed the band after, you know, our performance, and it was like kind of one of my proudest moments that I made him laugh, because when I made him laugh, he just, like, his whole body went in this wiggle of laughter. It was really cool.
Yeah, he always did seem like a friendly guy.
Yes, for sure. Anyway,
so who else have you played with? Who else have you played with?
Well, let me see. I made a list. We played with Echo and the Bunnymen in Portland, Oregon, and that was an amazing show. I loved Echo and the Bunnymen. And Walla Voodoo and us played 2 nights sold out at the Kabuki. Remember when they had shows at the Kabuki?
Was that San Francisco or Oakland?
San Francisco.
Oh, okay.
The Kabuki Theater.
That's outside the Haight-Ashbury and the Japanese town, right? I know that.
Yeah, we played 2 sold-out nights with them, and those guys were really nice, and we had a lot in common with them, and the B team was, I think they opened both nights. That was awesome. Translator, yeah, you're everywhere that I'm not. We played with them a ton. Yeah, we used to go on, like, little tours and stuff with them, and we played San Francisco State with them. We also opened for U2 like a trillion times, it seems like.
Oh, cool.
U2 were really nice to us. The first time was at the boarding house, Old Waldorf. And then we played California Hall. Then we ended up playing the Bill Graham Civic. And let me tell you a story when we played the Bill Graham Civic. Well, I'll tell you a story when we played California Hall. When we played California Hall with them, I, like, had a cold sore on the side of my face. So in order to sing, I basically had to make it bleed by opening my mouth really wide. And I kept having to, like, touch the edge of my face, you know, so there's not, like, blood coming down. And then we had a great set, though, because, oh, my God, that place was full to the rafters with U2 fans and Romeo Void fans. I mean, they enjoyed us, too, and people knew the lyrics, and it was very exciting. And then when U2 played, there's actually a video, a little bit of it, and audio of both of our sets that night on Wolfgang's Vault.
Cool.
And I guess the lights went out during this song that I was supposed to sing with U2, and so I just sang anyway. They were like, come on anyway and sing with us. So even though the lights were out, it's like we kept performing, and, you know, of course, then they got the lights back on. But that was pretty exciting.
The show must go on.
Yeah, then like a year later, they came through town, and we got to play with them at Bill Graham Civic. By then, they had blown up huge, you know. It was beyond war. The first time we played with them, it was just after war. And then the second time was after October. And so I came striding in, you know, for sound check to the Bill Graham Civic. It holds, like, I don't know, how many thousands of people? Lots. More than I'd ever played. 5,000, 10,000, something like that. And I come striding in this empty hall while they're doing their sound check. And Bono looks at me and literally sang, I will be with you again. Oh, it was just a beautiful moment. I will treasure that my entire life.
Well, any other bands you played with?
No, that was it.
Did you play Europe?
No, I'm kidding. Of course there were. I remember playing the Peppermint. Yes. I remember playing the Peppermint Lounge with Pylon. Those guys
New
were
York?
awesome.
New York?
Yes, Peppermint Lounge in New York. We played the Ritz in New York, and there's a funny story there is that Orchestral Maneuvers in the Dark, we played with them once at the Ritz, and they had just finished mixing a new record of theirs. It was after their first one, Electricity. It was their, second record. And we had to forfeit our sound check because they had to listen to their record in the hall and, dance to it. And it was, the most awkward thing in the world because we're up on stage trying to get the union guys to let us at least, set up our instruments and stuff, and that was a big fight, because the union's really strong in New York. And meanwhile, Orchestral Maneuvers in the Dark with their haircuts and their, outfits are dancing to their own music, so that was kind of weird.
Did you ever get to play with the Ramones or the Sex Pistols?
No. Those are kind of before our era. I was fans of the Ramones. I went to see the Ramones the first time they came to San Francisco, and they played the Savoy Tivoli, and then I saw them in San Francisco probably about 10 times, and loved them. We even made T-shirts, silkscreen T-shirts of the Ramones so that they could sign them, and I still have my original. And I got to see Patti Smith when she did her spoken word thing at Rather Rip Records, and when she played with John Cale.
Wow.
So as a fan, I got to see a ton of people, the Talking Heads, and I remember when Devo came to San Francisco the first time, they played, this club was totally packed, and they had Budgie Boy and everything in the little playpen and the movie, and it was pretty hot.
Did you ever play in Europe?
Yes, that was at the total end of the band. We played great, but I don't know, we mostly just, I don't even remember who we played with. I think we were headlining, and I don't think I really knew the bands, but we did get to play the Marquee, which was the famous, venue that the Beatles played.
Where's
that was real exciting.
Where's the Marquee in Germany?
In London.
Or England?
In London. Yeah. And you know
did
what?
You play
after we
France?
played the Marquee. Yes.
Did you play France?
And then after we played the show in London, we went to a club afterwards, and Susie and Budgie from Susie and the Banshees were there, and Kid Congo was there from Gun Club, et cetera, and, Casey's still around, Kid Congo. He plays a lot with them, his band, The Monkey, something, I can't remember his band.
Did you meet Chrissy Hines? She's an old friend of mine.
No, he didn't. But anyway, we all went out drinking.
She was famous when she was working at that store. She was selling clothes at that punk store, Sex, and I went in there and bought an outfit from her, and we became friends. I stayed at her place for a couple weeks back in
I recently just saw her in
Sacramento.
She's amazing.
She's awesome, yeah.
I'll go see her anytime.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's this law in England that the hotels can keep serving booze all night long, because people who come from out of the country shouldn't have to live by their laws or something. So Susie and Budgie knew all about that, and Casey. And so they all came over to our hotel after the Marquee and after we'd been at this club until closing. And we ended up getting our bellhop, or the desk guy, the night clerk, to serve us booze all night till 4:30 in the morning. So that was fun. That was really fun. We had such a great time. And Susie kept saying, I'll have another. Will you have another? Let's all have another. And the next morning we're supposed to go to this luncheon, with the record, company. And oh my God, I had the worst hangover. We barely got there. I just remember feeling completely wrung out. And I said to the sound guy who had stayed up with me all night, Louie, with Casey, I said to him, will you have another? I'll have another. Would you like another? So that was pretty fun. That was my partying with the rock star moment.
Did you ever meet Naomi Ruth Eisenberg? Naomi Ruth Eisenberg?
Of course. Naomi and I are great friends. But anyway,
I've known Naomi for years. I met her in Nashville back in when she was playing with Dan Hicks about 1973, and then she played with me when I came back to San Francisco, and she come up to L.A. when I was in L.A. and she played with me. We've been friends for 30, 40 years now. I love Naomi. She plays such a cool fiddle. Has she ever played with you?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I'm sure we've shared the same stage many times. Many times. She's a great gal.
Yeah, I love her. Do you have anything coming up? Are you doing anything now, playing with anyone?
No, not really. I a couple years I put records out in a row, and I was trying to do music because I was underemployed. I'm actually a high school art teacher.
Wow,
and,
what school?
Right now I'm down in at Palm Springs Unified, but I was out on the Indian reservation on the Navajo Nation for a couple years. Cool. And then when I moved back to California, I was like itching to do music, and I couldn't find a job. And so I put out a couple of records with Peter Dunn from Pearl Harbor and the Explosions. Him and I wrote songs together. And I have a great band, and we've played a few gigs, like probably about 5 or 6 times a year the last couple of years. But it's, a pain to try to keep that together, and I can't seem to keep a job in the same town that I ever have a band in. So, until I get more stable, I like to go see bands. So I'm excited about a lot of bands that are. Huh?
You're on Facebook?
Yes, of course.
So anyone that wants to find you can find you on Facebook, right?
That's how you found me. Yeah.
Well, that's how I found. Well, actually, I had Peter Dunn on this show a few weeks back, and he mentioned you. So
I love Peter.
That's what rang a bell. Was he had mentioned you and said he had been recording with you, and he loved the way you sang. So that's what reminded me of you. So I found you on Facebook, and that's how I found you.
Cool. Yeah, Peter and I think we've written. Peter and I have written some of the best songs of my entire career that, probably won't really see the light of day because we're not in our 20s, we're not in a scene. We're both like, have something to say and sure have the means to say it, but, it's really difficult. But check me out on
put it up on YouTube, and then people can find it, see? You won't make any money off of it, but at least people can hear it.
I got stuff on SoundCloud, Reverb Nation, and YouTube, so don't worry about it. I'm out there.
They can find
if you want to find me. Yeah. Okay, I promised my Facebook people I would tell them. I said I wouldn't tell a lot of stories from the road, but I would tell the story from the road when I met Daryl Hall. Because, he's got that great TV show on Friday nights now, An Evening with Daryl or Daryl at the Farm or whatever it's called.
Yeah,
Anyway, he's awesome. Yeah, I love that show.
Hall
anyway,
right.
Yeah, that's who he used to be with. I'm at the MTV Awards, and I'm backstage, and it's the year that Madonna crawled across the floor in the white outfit doing Like a Virgin, and her high heels and her, white bustier. Very, very exciting year. Herbie Hancock had the same manager I did, and so I got to ride in a limo with Herbie, and he won for Rocket. So that was that year. And so I'm backstage, and I'm kind of walking around, and there's Simon Le Bon from Duran Duran, totally blitzed out of his mind, carrying a bottle of vodka. And, I'm just kind of like, whoa, where am I? And then Daryl Hall comes up to me, and he's like, puts out his hand, and I'm like, wow, because I love his voice. It wasn't the kind of music I ever did, but boy, got to know talent when you hear it, And so I was very honored. He put his hand out to shake it, and I put my hand out to shake it. And he goes, I am somewhat of a fan of yours. Anyway, so I said, well, I'm definitely a fan of yours. So I always thought that was kind of funny the way he had to qualify it a little bit, somewhat of a fan. But, that was still cool that he recognized me and I got to meet him, and that was awesome. And
what's your name up that you were going to do this show? I've had a lot of people say, I'm a big fan of the person from back in the day.
Oh, good. And that same time period, I got to also meet Lou Reed because we were on a panel together with Madonna and at the New Music Seminar, Africa Bambaataa, and John Oates was on that panel, and Lou Reed. So I got to, like, sit and just, like, have a little chat beforehand with him, and he was, like, envious of the status of Never Say Never, because it had been a while, I guess, that the album that he had just put out wasn't doing that good. I think it was Sally Can't Dance, and he was, like, kind of envious of that Never Say Never airplay.
Oh. Who wrote that song?
I wrote the lyrics. The band, of course, wrote the music.
I might like you better if we slept together.
Yeah. Are you going to play it on your show, or?
Well, I can put it at the end, because at the end I put it on a playlist, and then if you keep it going at the end, then it goes right into the next song, and I can get it off of YouTube. So if you keep this show going, once it gets on YouTube, I'll have that Dick Clark show, and I'll have the Might Like It Better If We Slept Together.
Never Say Never.
That song. It's so fun. It's so real. Because I might like them better if I slept.
Yeah. So I got to meet James Brown then.
Cool.
Because he was on the New Music Seminar panel too, as I recall. And he was like, somebody goes, well, what's new music anyway? And he goes, it ain't old. Because they called it the New Music Seminar. So.
Did you ever get to meet Warhol?
No.
Did you play CBGBs? What about CBGBs?
We didn't play CBGBs. We played the Mud Club. We played the Ritz. We played Area.
Did you go to CBGBs? Did you go there?
I think we went by there during the day once. I don't think we ever went there.
Oh, because I would have liked
I don't remember going there. I remember going by there because we used to go to get Stromboli's Pizza, and it was right by there. But I think by that time it was like, punk was so codified that all it was like aggressive, boring music, that was all the same, and shave your head. It was kind of skinhead punk era, where everything was hardcore. And I didn't respond to hardcore at all. It just wasn't my thing.
How about Iggy Pop? Did you get to meet him?
I never did. But I loved him. And I got to see him when he played the Old Waldorf 2 nights in a row. So that was exciting. And Mink DeVille and Ian Drury. So those great shows at the Old Waldorf.
Did you know Fast Floyd?
Didn't really know him, but really good friends with Don Vinell of The Offs.
Yeah. Okay. We're almost out of time, so thank you for being on my show.
Have we named up enough?
If you got more names, hurry up and do them. Got any more names?
Oh, gee, I don't think so. Thank you for offering, though. Anyway, it's been a pleasure,
thank you for coming to the Girl George and the Dragon show. Come again next week, and we'll have some more fascinating people for you. This is the Girl George saying, see you later, alligator.
Everybody's crazy but me. Everybody's nutty as can be. Forming games, waging wars, paint the names upon the door. You against me, us versus them. No communicado, don't give a damn. Our kids in the street are the gross case. you need, some call it survival. Some